Star Thrills documentary, Birth of Nations, the UN Partition Plan and Arab Rejection. Our journey through time begins here in the ancient land of Israel, where history, faith, and identity intertwine. With the tragic events of October 7, 2023, when Hamas carried out an attack resulting in the loss of over 1,400 Israeli and foreign nationals' lives, and the hostage taking of more than 243 people, there have been renewed attempts to distort history and claim that Jews are foreign occupiers with no historical connection to the land of Israel. A common misperception is that the Jews are forced into the diaspora by the Romans after the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem in the year 70 AD. Then, 1,800 years later, they suddenly returned to Palestine demanding their country back. But in reality, the story of the Jewish people in this land spans over 3,700 years. In this documentary, we'll peel back the layers of time and delve into the foundation of the Jews' connection to this region. We'll explore the profound historical ties that the Jewish people have maintained to their homeland, including a national language and a distinct civilization. 4 key premises underpin the Jewish claim to the land of Israel. These premises form the cornerstones of their connection to the ancient land. But what about the name Palestine? It's believed to have been derived from the Philistines, an ancient people who settled along the Mediterranean coastal plain. In history, the Romans applied the name Palestina to Judea, the southern portion of the West Bank, to minimize Jewish identification with the land of Israel. But the history of this land goes back to the 12 tribes of Israel who formed the first constitutional monarchy around 1000 BC, with Jerusalem as their capital. Despite challenges, Jewish life in Palestine continued to flourish. Communities were re-established in Jerusalem and Tiberias by the 9th century. But the path was not without its trial. The Crusaders brought massacre. The Jewish community rebounded in the next centuries. By the early 19th century, more than 10,000 Jews lived in what is today Israel, decades before the birth of the modern Zionist movement. However, it was in the late 19th century that Jews began immigrating to Palestine in larger numbers, a time when fewer than 250,000 Arabs lived there, the majority of them arriving in recent decades. So, the stage was set for a complex and intricate history, a history marked by identity, faith, and contention. Join us as we navigate the road to 1948, a year that will change the course of the Middle East. I'm Jerry Dan Goldman, and this is the story of nations of the past and present, here on Star Thrills. Welcome back to Star Thrills' deep dive into the birth of nations and the rejection that shaped the Middle East. In this documentary, we explore the United Nations Partition Plan for Palestine and the Arab response that will forever change the course of history. Hello, I'm Jerry Dan Goldman. Join us as we journey back in time to uncover the reason behind the Arab rejection of the UN Partition Plan and the dramatic birth of the State of Israel. Our story begins in the late 1940s. The United Nations proposed a partition plan for Palestine. It called for the creation of a separate Jewish and Arab state with Jerusalem under international administration. But why was this plan met with resistance? The Arab response was marked by deep-seated opposition. First, the territorial division was contentious. Arab leaders saw it as an infringement on their land. They argued for a single unified state instead. Demographics played a key role. The Arab population vastly outnumbered the Jewish community in Palestine. Arab leaders believed that this should have translated into a unified state. They saw the plan as an inadequate representation of the region's people. Sovereignty and the right to self-determination were paramount. Arab leaders insisted that the decision on the future of Palestine should be made by those living there, not imposed by an international body. But the wisdom behind the UN proposing a two-state partition was based on the reality on ground. The UN understands then that leaving the minority Jewish community among the Arabs will eventually result in the latter stifling the former out with time because of the difference in religion. And this was already playing out with several programs against the Jews in the many Islamic-dominated nations at the time. So to preserve the Jewish community in that land, the two-state partition was the most probable solution.
I could give you 1,000 examples, but here is one. There was a big Jewish community in Hebron. Jews have lived there for hundreds of years, until one day in 1929, many years before the occupation and before the State of Israel was established, their Muslim neighbors decided to kill them. I will leave a link below so you can see what happened there, what happens when Jews are weak. It is not only Jews, by the way. Christians, Yazidis, Armenians, I could go on and on, or I could just simply say that all minorities living in Muslim countries suffer. There isn't a single minority that is thriving under Muslim rule.
Jerusalem was another flashpoint. The plan designated it as an international city because Jerusalem held deep religious and historical significance for the two parties and for the Christians all over the world. For the Arab leaders, they were determined solely to control it. Arab states were influenced by regional alliances. They received support from other Arab nations and shared a commitment to preventing the establishment of a Jewish state in Palestine. As tensions escalated, David Ben-Gurion declared the State of Israel on May 14, 1948. Leading to the First Arab-Israeli War. The Arab states, including Egypt, Jordan, Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon, responded militarily, attacking the newly formed state without a regular trained army yet, solidifying their rejection of the partition plan. In a decisive battle that shocked the whole world with its outcome, Israel defeated the 5 Arab nations that rose up against it, and thus took control of some territories not originally allotted to it. Israel was later pressured by international bodies to give up these acquired territories for peace. What we all need to note here is that Israel didn't start the war. In fact, it extended a hand of peace to the Arabs living in the portion of the land allotted to them with a promise to give them equal citizenship and rights with the Jews.
The Proclamation of Independence Day laid down certain principles. The State of Israel will devote itself to developing the land for the good. It will rest upon foundations of liberty, justice, and peace. It will maintain complete equality and political rights for all its inhabitants without distinction of creed, race, and sex. Bringing more immigrants, providing work, educating our people, guaranteeing our security and independence. And we look to our friends overseas to join us in these historic.
A few Arabs accepted the citizenship offer and are enjoying their decision till today.
جيش الدفاع الإسرائيلي بيخدموا يهود وعرب، مسلمين، مسيحية ودروز. في جيش الدفاع الإسرائيلي بيخدموا رجال ونساء، والنساء موجودات في جميع الوظائف ووصلوا لجميع الرتب. واليوم رح نتعرف على إيلا وويلي. إيلا هي ضابطة في مكتب المتحدث باسم جيش الدفاع، معروفة ككابتن إلى للجميع. وعلى فكرة الهووية هي ضابطة وقائدة عربية مسلمة، واسمعوا منيح، على جنود يهود في جيش الدفاع الإسرائيلي. سمعتوا صح. تعالوا معي خلينا نتعرف عليها. الأخبار؟
والله ذهب.
كيف الحال؟ كله تمام؟ كله تمام؟
أنا إيلا عربية مسلمة إسرائيلية من قلنسوة. اليوم عمري 32 سنة، حاصلة على لقب أول في الصحابة ولقب ثاني في السياسة. لما أنا أكون بالزي العسكري أنا هون بصير مش بس مواطنة عادية، بصير العسكرية الصبية الشخصية اللي برضو بتدافع وبتحافظ عن أرض الوطن، بس بطريقة اللي هي مش بطريقة المحاربة.
But majority rejected the untold, left their homelands without being forced to.
We didn't compel them to leave. They left on their own will, or rather on the will of the Arab leaders.
If the Arab accepted the two-state solution back then, and when it was offered a few times after then, there would have been a two powerful states living side by side in peace and tranquility today.
Ben Gurion, do you believe that lasting peace is possible between the Jews and the Arabs?
Well, I wouldn't say that peace is possible immediately, tomorrow, but I'm certain that peace will come because it is a necessity not only of Israel, but of the whole Middle East, of the whole world.
Thank you for joining us on this historical journey of the UN Partition Plan and Arab Rejection. These pivotal moments will set the stage for the complex Middle East conflict. Stay tuned for more enlightening content here on Starfield. Until next time, I am Jerry Dan Goldman, signing off from our immersive studio. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to keep the conversation going. Thank you.